Hello friends, Mayor Moreno here with a recap from our February 2022 City Council meetings. Our first one was February 8th, and the bulk of that meeting was dedicated to deciding whether or not the city wanted to become part of 3CE, Central Coast Community Energy, which is community choice aggregation. This is something the legislature set up in 2002 that enables municipalities to come together and purchase energy to deliver to customers, specifically electricity. And the way this works is, in order to do this, the city, in this case Atascadero, would need to become partner in a joint powers agreement with other cities. And this is something that we did vote unanimously to move forward with. There are certainly pros and cons to it, but ultimately it provides our electricity consumers in Atascadero with a choice of whether they want to have 3CE procure their energy, their electricity, or if they want to continue to have PG&E procure their energy. It doesn't change who delivers it. PG&E still owns the transmission lines and still delivers that energy. We looked at it back in 2019, and we were divided, quite frankly, as was our community, was very divided on it, and we wanted to give it a little extra time. It was a fairly new community choice aggregation entity. It was a new CCA at the time, and there were several of us on council that felt we wanted to give it more time before deciding to move forward with it. So we did decide to do that on the 8th. There's pros and cons. I'm not 100% sold on it, but I'm also not 100% against it. Pros and cons, as there are with a lot of things that we look at. One thing I do want you to know, and several of you may already know this, is that when the time comes, we will, if all things go smoothly, we will start becoming basically customers of 3CE in 2024. Prior to that time, there will be a lot of education that goes out to let all of you as consumers, as purchasers of electricity, know that this is coming. Because the way the legislature set it up is that everybody is opted in. And you have to purposefully opt out if you want to stay with PG&E and not go with 3CE. So that will be coming, later in 2023, as that education is done by 3CE and letting folks know here's the benefits. And like we do with anything as consumers, we look at the cost benefit of being with one company versus another, one provider versus another. We do it with cable services, we do it with products that we buy. And so now we'll be doing it with electricity, and that will be new to most of us, but something that I trust that we can all handle. So that's what happened on that meeting. The second meeting was February 22nd. And a couple things that I want to know. First of all, during the city manager's report, and I'll put a link here and let you know where it starts, but our police chief gave an update on staffing in regards to Measure D20. So you'll remember with Measure D20, that was our sales tax measure that all of us as voters passed in November of 2020. And what the council said at the time is that we want to ask our community, what are the key things that are important to you that we want to invest in? And far and away, public safety was one of those top items, particularly our police department, because we've been very thinly staffed for a long time. And so Chief Masterson gave a great update and went through some details. When you look at the positions we've added with D20, which is a huge plus, prior to, let's say, at the time of D20 passing, if you include those positions we're adding, we were short 7 sworn officers and let's see, look at my notes here. It was 7 sworn officers and 4 dispatchers. Now we're at the place where we're only short 1 sworn officer and still 2 dispatchers, but we're moving in the right direction, and this was some really good news. So you can take a look at that report. And then the other main thing on our agenda was a report about SB 1383, which is Senate Bill 1383, and it has to do with solid waste. And this is the most substantial change to this kind of regulation in the last 30 years in California. And the way it's going to impact most residents is if you don't currently have a green bin, let's say you live in an apartment or a condo or an area where you're not generating a lot of what we think of as green waste, leaves and branches and things like that, you will be required to have a green bin, because what these bins are now is for organic material. And so that includes all of your food waste. And that's what 1383 is really geared towards, is making sure all of our food waste is being recycled. For several years, I've tended to put raw, fruits and vegetables into my green bin. To me, that was sort of a no-brainer. But now, literally everything, you got pasta on your plate that's left over, goes into the green bin. Chicken bone, green bin. Eggshells, green bin. Everything like that goes into your green bin. And actually, there's a lot of education that needs to happen for all of us in terms of what can go in a green bin, what doesn't go in a green bin. And so that is, Integrated Waste Management Authority, IWMA, is in the midst of that, and certainly our hauler helps with that. And most of you, if you have a green bin currently, there's a nice sticker on the top, and it really shows you the things that can go in there and the things that can't. So that is one of the biggest things. Let's see, there's other, mandatory, outreach, like I mentioned, education, documentation. There's also enforcement. So this is something that, even if you get it and you say, I don't want to be hassled with this, I don't have the time to deal with it. None of us really have the option to say that. We need to be following these regulations. Otherwise, there is an enforcement mechanism that we as the city are actually required. So it's not as though we're going to be scouring the neighborhood, looking in everybody's trash cans. That's not what's going to happen. But there will be, by IWMA, when trash cans are put out, there will be random flipping the lid searches. Our hauler does have the ability to have cameras on what's being dumped. And so when they find folks that are, violating the rules, if you will, breaking the rules, then there is enforcement action that we are required to take. So a lot to take in, but basically looking at ways to get all of that organic matter into the right bin. So that is it for now. I'm going to go ahead and put the link here so you can listen to any of that you might want to. A lot going on. Just a lot of details and things to figure out, but we'll all do it together, right? And that is it for February. I hope you have had a great month and look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.